Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another Dragon Ball figure unboxing video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Dragon Ball Super, yes that's technically correct, it's on the box, I don't know what you want from me bro, Super Dragon Ball Heroes Masterlise Ichiban Kuji Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker Xeno Vegeta. I almost got it, we're almost there. Super Dragon Ball Heroes 4th mission, Bandai Namco Prize D Ichiban Kuji figure. Wow, this guy is a mouthful. I really hope all of that fits in the title of this video. Of course, not only did this Ichiban Kuji just release recently in Japan, this being actually the first figure that I got from this set, and probably one of the only ones I'm going to get. I'll probably get Super Saiyan 3 Rose and the Warrior in Black, and that'll probably be it for me because those are really the only other ones besides this guy that I'm really keen to get. And besides that, of course, this is sort of apt timing because not only is this figure, of course, based off of this Super Dragon Ball Heroes card, but of course, Dokkan also just got the Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Xeno Vegeta in the game, which, I mean, that card art is also just based on the Heroes card. But you get my point. Obviously, with everything going on right now related to SDBH, it is a good time to take a look at this figure. So let's take a look at the box. First of all, we have the front with the boy on it. Obviously, all of the Bandai Namco logos and stuff like that. We have a very nice side shot of the boy right here. This looks pretty cool. I know you can see my reflection in there. Hello! We have the back of the box with the information displayed on there. Very weirdly enough, usually they show the SDBH card that the figure is based off of right here where the Masterlise logo is. I don't know why they didn't show it this time, but they decided not to. And then we have the figure on the side here. I will say, for some reason, I think it's just the lighting, but it really looks like the head is photoshopped onto the body. It's definitely this dark spot right there, but it looks a little bit strange if you're asking me. And interestingly enough, of course, usually on these figures they have the Super Dragon Ball Heroes little ad, right? There we go, camera, focus on that bad boy. But interestingly enough, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta isn't there. It's just like all of the new cards, which, I mean, makes sense, but it's just weird that they didn't include the actual card that this thing is based off of. The bottom is just the bottom. And the top, we obviously have all the information, and of course, the funny Toei animation sticker, which is always what you want to see when you are opening up one of these figures. Alright, so let's go ahead and crack into this guy. Now, as we're opening this guy up, I'm sure you're probably wondering, well, hey, if this guy didn't go overseas, how did you pick this guy up? I'm sure that you've seen on a couple of my videos by now, I have actually been importing a lot of figures recently, and I actually did import this guy from Japan as well, using the website Bai. Again, not sponsored. Would love if they did, though, because I love their service and I use it all the time. Basically, you can bid on Yahoo Auctions Japan for bids that are happening in Japan, and essentially they will ship the product to you from their sort of proxy service. They kind of act as a middleman, and I ended up getting the figure for a fairly decent price, which it's maybe a little bit more than I would have wanted to pay for it. However, I will show you here as we pull out the brown box. Ugh, there we go. Your boy did actually get a little bit of something extra. If you saw in the beginning, there was that Super Saiyan 3 Rose card, and I actually did get that in the package with this guy. This particular listing had the card. Oh, you cannot see it with the ring light on because it's still in the plastic. But yeah, this beautiful Super Saiyan 3 Rose SDBH card that was like basically one of the prizes for the Ichiban Kuji. I forget the particular way that you get it. I'll try and put it on the screen if I can find the information or remember it, because I put it in a video at one point. I don't remember though the specifics of how you get it. But regardless, from that Ichiban Kuji was the only way to get that particular SDBH card, so that's why my listing was a little bit more expensive than I would normally pay for this guy, because I was also basically buying the card. Alright, we are freeing him. Oh! Let's move the cardboard to the side there. And can he stand up in the bag? Wow, look at him go! Look at you, Vegeta. Look at my boy. Alright, let's get a little bit of light on it. And then let's go ahead and pop this. Wow, it is literally only 3 things. That's so funny. It literally looks like my man just got out of the shower and has like a towel wrapped around his head. That's pretty funny. Alright, let's go ahead and slide the tail out here. Again, because this is Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4, you may notice that the color is a little bit different than your normal Super Saiyan 4, but that is pretty cool. And they do this very nice glossy finish when they do Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4. I really like the way that that looks, the way that it kind of shines and reflects in the light. I think that's pretty neat. Alright, let's go ahead and get the standouts. Bada bing, bada boom. And... there we go. Sound effects absolutely necessary, of course, maybe. There we go. Let's see, is this one going to be a little sticky? Because sometimes these are, like, weirdly sticky. Sometimes they're just kind of smooth plastic. A little bit of a mixture of both, but, yeah, there's your little hunk of chunk. I mean, I guess it's technically true. Hunk of plastic that allows you to make the figure stand up. Alright, so let's grab the hole here by Vegeta's face. I know you are begging to be freed, my boy. I keep poking you in the eye, I'm sorry. There's definitely a Christmas Story reference to be made in there somewhere. Alright, we're gonna get that right over his head. And then we will pull the boy out. It's gonna be a little bit hard with this arm, because obviously this arm that is like sticking out like that is kind of impeding us from opening him. There we go. Oh my gosh, I just noticed too his spikes of his hair. I'll show you that in a second. The spikes pierced right through the bubble wrap. That's kind of funny. Very interesting. Alright, so let's go ahead and unwrap the boy. Obviously, there isn't really too much of a big reveal here, but, you know, we'll still kind of take the towel off of his head. You know, my man just got out of the Super Saiyan 4 shower, of course. You know, we gotta very carefully get this off of the spikes, because obviously since, you know, we're basically trying to maneuver it around, we gotta pull them off there one by one. And there we go. Okay, let's put the tail on real quick, and then we'll take a complete look at the figure himself. It is nice that they make it white so you can actually kind of differentiate a little bit how that's going to go in there. And obviously there is like a clear shape for it, so you can just kind of bop, put that right in there, and that fits nicely. Okay, so first of all, before we give him the stand, let's take a look at the nitty-gritty details here. Of course, the face sculpt looks very, very nice, if I do say so myself. I think they did a good job with it. It captures Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta's likeness very, very well, in my opinion. Of course, we will talk about it a little bit later, but that is also partially because this figure is heavily based on and takes parts from another Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta figure, so you kind of have to give the credit to that figure, but it doesn't take away from this figure obviously looking very, very nice as well. With the paint job, obviously the dark shadows for the Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker look really nice here. I love the way that they sort of did that with his body, right? You can really see it on his biceps and his shoulders there. That looks really, really good. With the hair as well, not only is the hair sculpt just a very good hair sculpt of Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta's look, they also did a really cool job with the paint. Obviously, these very nice reds sort of coming to the edges, right? You can see there's a little bit of darkness in there, but towards the roots of the hair, there is a lot more dark, which is really cool because that's not just the shadows of the lighting in my room. That's how the figure is actually painted, which is awesome. I think that's a really, really cool look for sure. So yeah, his top half looks good, and of course for the actual sculpt of the body, I mean, you know, it's basically Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. It looks pretty good. The gloves are also sculpted very nice, I will say. There is unfortunately a little bit of seam lines. I don't know if you can even see that on camera, but let's have a hard time picking it up. You can kind of see it there. If I move it back maybe a little bit, yeah, right there, there's a little seam line, unfortunately. You can kind of see it go up to the edge of his glove as well, too. It's not as bad, I feel like, on the other glove on my copy there. The camera really doesn't like that seam line, that's funny. But yeah, right there you can kind of see it. However, it does unfortunately go up to the thumb of the glove, which is really not great. That is a little bit of a yucky look, I'm not gonna lie, but overall the glove does look like pretty good, besides all those factors. And as for the pants, unfortunately there isn't too much to write home about. However, that's not really the fault of Vegeta. When it comes to his pants, right, the regular design is really cool for Xeno Vegeta, right, when he's in base form, and obviously the top half is really the part that you're focused on because of course that's where all the really cool and unique armor is, when his pants are usually just black. But then when he goes Super Saiyan 4, it kind of all disappears and you're basically just left with the little bit of the remnants of the original outfit. So that's not really this figure's fault. That's more so just the design being a little bit wacky with the bottom half, right? Like Goku's is obviously super iconic with the, you know, whole like draped edges of his Xeno look being there for the Super Saiyan 4, but Vegeta just gets black pants. But I will say they are sculpted really cool for the muscle definition. Look at that on there. That is really, really nice. Even my camera is like, whoa, my man is too strong. That is pretty cool if I do say so myself. I definitely like the way that they did that. Very, very nice. It definitely gives this figure a little bit more dynamic look, despite him just standing there. And of course, you know, with the pants just basically being plain black. The boots do look very, very nice, if I do say so myself. I think they nailed those for sure, right? Obviously, that's the one thing that basically stands out about this design from the bottom half. And they definitely did a good job on that, I think. They definitely nailed the look of those very, very nicely, if I do say so myself. And, of course, we did talk about a little bit of the tail before, but it does have this nice little swoop that kind of emphasizes the figure's sort of movement here, right? It sort of like catches your eye from, you're like, oh, the edge of the tail up to his hand. Let's go ahead and put the actual foot piece on now. I'm assuming it goes on this foot? No, maybe? Oh, no, actually it did. Okay. I did not expect... Oh, wait, no. Hold on, maybe not. Oh, maybe yes? Okay, yeah, no, that does fit in there quite nicely. Yeah. No, that definitely works there. I mean, he could stand basically fine on his own before, but now he's basically just got a little bit of extra support under his belt. So overall, I really, really like the look of this figure. I will say, I wanted to get this guy because eventually I'm also going to get the Xeno Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker Goku from the, I almost said World Mission, from the third mission set, right? And I would love to have this guy displayed next to my Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker Vegito as well. Oop, I gotta bring him forward a little bit because his tail is smacking against the wall there. That's funny. But yeah, so I would like to get that figure as well. And honestly, when I saw this figure, especially like if we take a look on the box, I feel like he looked a little bit more awkward. I don't know what's the right way to exactly describe it, but I think in person the figure actually looks better than I kind of expected in terms of the actual, like, I don't know, his pose and like how he looked on the box and in the original images compared to the final product, I feel like was a little bit more awkward looking, and now that I actually have him in hand, I like him better, which is good, because I feel like usually with Bandai figures, it's the opposite, or I end up liking the figure less when I actually get it in hand. He definitely has a little bit of that sort of like, his shoulders are kind of high and his head is a little bit low into his body, but I think overall, he looks pretty good. Alright, let's move on to our size comparisons now. As this is a standard Masterlise Ichiban Kuji figure, of course it makes sense that he is going to be around this height compared to Gotenks and our Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Of course, he is basically the size that you would kind of expect him to be. If we get the old ruler out here, he is just above the 10-inch mark. Maybe even 10 inches exactly. That is basically how he looks on camera as well, to the tip of the hair right there. This little hair tip might even go a tiny bit higher. But yeah, he's basically just about the 10-inch mark, which is obviously a good size. And again, basically the Masterlise Ichiban Kuji size that, you know, you kind of come to expect when it comes to these type of figures. Now, before we get into our heavy size comparisons, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. Of course, as I mentioned a little bit before in this video, this figure is heavily inspired, one might say, and others may say even reused from another Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta figure. Of course, that being the greatest Saiyan, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Now, first of all, these guys do look pretty cool together. I'm not even going to front with you. They do look very nice with both of these Super Saiyan 4s, because obviously this is the Canon GT. Obviously GT's not canon, but Canon 2 Dragon Ball GT Vegeta, and of course Xeno Vegeta, so that is pretty cool. But you can see exactly here where they reuse different pieces from this figure to make the Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker one. And I know this is a little bit of a weird one because, of course, the pose for Vegeta on the SDBH one is based off of the actual card. So, of course, they have to make it based off of it. And I guess from their perspective, it's like, why not just use the sculpting of an already existing figure? I mean, it's pretty clear to tell, right? The look of the actual sculpt of the fur, the hands are very similar in terms of their sculpt, right? You can literally just see that they basically just bent his arms a little bit for the different arm poses. The legs, with the basicness of them, are pretty much the same. Obviously, they're sculpted a little bit different because his boots and pants are different, right? But they basically just took the head and tilted it the opposite way, right? You can clearly tell that the sculpts of the hair are literally the exact same on these figures, just flipped, even down to the little like slash lines in the hair. And the tails are the exact same too. They are literally flowing in the exact same direction. So, this is a little bit of a hard one for me. Obviously, I bought this figure from a third party, so I'm not supporting Bandai directly on this type of thing. And I'm really not a fan of reusing with figures. I would much rather them make an original product here. But this one is kind of a little bit more of a toss-up for me, to be honest. Like, I wish that they would have given it a little bit of a different sculpt. I understand why they didn't, and especially since the SDBH figures typically don't sell as well as the normal Dragon Ball figures. Of course, it makes sense for them to sort of reuse, you know, assets that they already have existing. But it would have been nice to get a little bit of a more unique sculpt. However, I'm definitely not as displeased because I really like the Greatest Saiyan Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. So if they were going to take it from any figure, I guess at least it's a figure that I like. So that's a good thing, I suppose. But definitely let me know what you think in the comments section about this one. I'd be very keen to hear what you guys have to say. Now, getting that out of the way, let's take a look at this guy next to some other SDBH characters. And since it is Super Saiyan 4 season, you know, I guess we gotta get some of our big boy Super Saiyan 4s in here. He'll be a little bit quicker than our next person we got on the list today, but since I have him on hand, oh my gosh, look how I did not realize he was out of the frame that badly. We got the boy Super Saiyan 4 Broly. Very, very sick. This is the original Super Saiyan 4 Broly figure. There is one from, I believe, the last Ichiban Kuji set, and the last prize version of that figure is actually Limit Breaker, and I would like to get that Limit Breaker version someday, because I think that would be cool. But for now, we got the two Super Saiyan 4 next to each other, and these guys look really, really sick. I think that this is actually a pretty good size comparison, all things considered. Like, maybe Vegeta's even a little bit shorter than Broly, but like overall I think this is a pretty good look with Broly basically hulking over Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. I quite like the comparison with these two. And obviously the tails also both kind of fluttering in the wind with each other. I quite like for this as well. Okay, getting the funny Kakarot man off of the stage. We have one final figure to compare here to, and you know that I had to bring him out. How could I not, considering that this is another Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4? We have the boy Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Vegito. Oh, baby, these figures look so sick together, dude. I cannot wait to get the Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Goku, because this will be such a cool setup on the shelf. Literally a dream setup. I never even thought that Limit Breaker would get any figures in the first place, so it's just so cool that they even bothered to make some figures for this form at all. Obviously, these guys work really, really well together. They are pretty much in scale if Vegeta was standing next to Vegito. However, I do think that Vegeta's cranium is quite big compared to Vegito's. Like, holy cow, my man's got a really fat head. I don't know why they particularly sculpted him like this. I guess it's also to allocate for how much hair Vegeta has. They kind of needed to make it a little bit bigger. Maybe they could have scaled down Vegeta's head. Maybe that figure, or maybe the look of this figure, rather, excuse me, would have felt a little bit more natural, and would have even kind of not given me that feeling of like looking at the figure when I originally saw it with the production images looking a little bit wonky. Maybe that would be the solution, considering the size of Super Saiyan 4 Vegito's head here compared to his body. But these two do look really good together. It is interesting as well to see the differences in the coloring on the Limit Breaker. the shadows on Vegeta are quite a lot darker than the shadows on Vegito, and Vegito's red fur is a lot brighter of a red than the Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. They do have different colors, right? Like, all of the Limit Breaker shades are a little bit different, because obviously the shades of Super Saiyan 4 are a little bit different, right? The shade of Goku's Super Saiyan 4 and Vegeta's in terms of the red are different, right? So it makes sense that obviously the shades here would be a little bit different overall. It is interesting as well with the hair on these two that you can clearly see that Vegito's is a little bit more of a brown look rather than a little bit more of those really serious reds that Vegeta has going on. I think in the anime, it's not that brown for Vegito, if I remember, for his hair color. So it is a bit of an interesting choice. However, it kind of isn't really that big of a deal for me because I still think it looks good. And it also kind of reminds me of like that old Super Saiyan 4 Vegito art where like they drew him with the brown hair. So kind of a little bit of a nostalgic in there for me personally. But it is quite interesting to see the differences in the design for these two. And one other thing to note is that it actually does seem that the boots are a different sculpt, because you can clearly tell that the size of the boots is very different for these two. Obviously, Vegito has Goku's baggy pants, so of course they kind of cover up the edges of Vegito's boots, or of Vegeta's boots rather. I knew I was going to mess it up at some point. But with Vegeta, right, obviously his boots are a lot bigger and his feet are a lot bigger because it seems like the scale of the figure is maybe like a tiny bit bigger than Vegito's. You know, in general, even like we were saying before, you know, my man's head is fat compared to Vegito's head for sure. It's hard to tell on the gloves though. I do think they are sculpted a little bit differently because Vegito's wrists look a little bit skinnier than Vegeta's, and the sculpting on the wrists looks a little bit different to me. Like, I definitely think that they probably, you know, I mean, looked at the original figure that had these gloves for Vegeta. Like, there's no doubt about that. But it does look a little bit different to me. It's really hard to tell because they're so similar, right? They could have absolutely just yoinked the gloves off of Vegito. I definitely don't doubt that Bandai would do that considering, you know, their figure reusing shenanigans. But nonetheless, I do think that these guys look really cool together. And like I said, I cannot wait to get the boy Goku to complete this trifecta. Having Vegito above these two with like Vegeta and Goku beside him will just be so cool. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Of course, if you'd like to support more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And your boy does have a Patreon linked in the description below exclusively for figure content. So if you want to support me buying more funny glowing monkey boys, you can do so down there. But of course, please do not feel obligated. Your support in watching the video is what I value most. And if you do want to cop this figure for yourself, again, I did have to import him because unfortunately there was no overseas version of this figure, which would have been really cool if we would have got it, but we never get the SDBH stuff overseas, so kind of not really that surprising, to be honest with you. But you can look on Bai. Like I said, you can go to Yahoo Auctions Japan. You could probably find him on eBay, but he will probably be really overpriced because typically the figures that don't get imported into the States get upcharged like heck on eBay. So, you know, just be wary of that. Keep in mind the price that I paid for him, and obviously the SDBH card was included, and you should be good to go. I will be making that video, by the way, about how to import figures soon. I know a couple people in the comments were asking for that when I talked about it in the last couple of videos where I imported some figures, so I'll definitely go about doing that for the future. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really, really appreciate it. Let me know what you think of this figure in the comment section below. And of course, the whole debacle with this guy kind of being taken from the greatest Saiyan, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, I would love to hear your thoughts on that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.